In all of the sensitive tribal development projects, an IS officer is given the charge. You have to understand that you have to change. You don't have to make 100,000 people change for you. For the first 2-3 days, I was so overwhelmed and I thought I'm never going to be able to do this. One of the problems with this world is that we don't incorporate technology with humanities.
How was your district training like? Where were you posted in Maharashtra? And
I was posted in the same district.
Okay.
So this is a coming back.
So you are in Amravati now?
Amravati, yeah.
Okay.
And I was in Amravati in my probation. I had an excellent collector.
Okay.
My collector made sure that I get to do all the fun and I get to do all the training. So he's very serious when I was getting the training.
Okay.
But then he used to, on Saturday and Sunday, he kind of used to scold me, "Why are you not going to Nagpur? Go meet your IRS batchmates. Why are you in Amravati?" And he made sure that she's not alone and she's not feeling lonely. So that was true. But then district training is also your first engagement with the ground. And it's so important to kind of also learn a little, but also realize that this is also the last non-responsibility fun that you're having. So
Absolutely.
A lot of us tend to forget that. After my posting, I've kind of realized that probation has to be enjoyed. It's so important. And I tell I have an MPSC probationer now who I keep telling that, make mistakes, because this is the last time you're allowed to make mistakes, and then nobody is going to scold you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and now, as you rightly said, the probation period is about learning, is about enjoying, but then you are out in the open world, right?
Yeah.
With the first posting, and getting the first posting is a dream come true, because you really take a charge as an officer for the first time. So how was the feeling like? Where are you posted? Please describe what is the feeling and what have you been doing for the last 7-8 months since you have been posted?
I am posted in a remote tribal area. So in Maharashtra, there is a dual charge, unlike a lot of other states. We get a charge as an assistant collector / SDM. That's the revenue part of it. But we also get charge of a whole district and as a project officer. So there are 11 tribal development projects in Maharashtra that are identified as sensitive. And in all of the sensitive tribal development projects, an IS officer is given the charge. So I am posted in one of the projects called Dharni, which is a part of Amravati, the subdivision. So I'm the SDM of Dharni and I'm the project officer for Amravati district. And it's beautiful. I mean, in slang, we call Chikhalal and Dharni as Melghat. It's very famous in Maharashtra for its forest and scenic beauty. But then it's also extremely challenging for, even Tamil Nadu has kind of, all these forested areas which are extremely challenging because of the geography and the terrain. So we have the same challenges. Our area is geographically extensive. So it's scattered populations. So reaching one point to another point takes a lot of time. And we also are in a core tiger area. So we have a Melghat Tiger Reserve. Where a lot of construction activity, for example, making a road or repairing a road, is prohibited. So, but there are people who live here, and tribal cultures are actually very different. People speak a different language, they have different cultures. And, the challenge is always to come to a place like that and then understand that, it's not your home, it's their home. So you have to understand that you have to change. You don't have to make 100,000 people change for you. So we are doing such fascinating work here. So I have Korku tribes in my area. And after I've come, we've started translating so much. So there's a Forest Rights Act, which is the first tribal translation in the country.
Oh, wonderful. So you're translating the Forest Rights Act of 2006 into the tribal language?
Yes, it's already done. And we're going to publish it. And we are translating. So there's a lot of malnutrition, which is true for a lot of tribal areas. And we are implementing a project with IIT Bombay now. 10-15 days after I joined, there was a personal summon for me from High Court of Bombay where a case was going on for malnutrition. And that was really scary because, you know, you join in the first posting. And my first day in the office was so scary because I just joined. I had no idea what to do. I mean, I came and I sat on the chair and everybody was so scared that, you know, who is going to come? Oh my God, there's going to be like a project officer. And I'm so tiny. I don't like look so, yeah. And people are like, oh, so she's the boss. And I just sat down and then people just kept coming. They're like, you know, this is a problem. This is a problem. And I just, for the first 2-3 days, I was so overwhelmed and I thought I'm never going to be able to do this. And but I mean, you know, things that you learn in 6, 7, 8 months and it just becomes natural.
Right.
Another thing, you know, UPSC really teaches you how to learn anything that is very difficult.
Right.
It can be an instrument, it can be a new job, it can be, because when I took up UPSC, I always use this word unfathomable. You know, you just thought you're never going to make sense of it on the first day. But then, you know, you keep at it and you do a little bit every day. And then after 6 months, you get up in the morning and you look back and you realize so much has changed.
Absolutely.
And that's so beautiful.
Absolutely. So that's a very, very interesting point that you made, which I think the aspirants who are watching this will definitely take heart from. I think anyone who has written this exam, when they look at the UPSC syllabus, when they think that, okay, let me think of doing an IAS or an IPS, and they look at the syllabus of UPSC the first time, they are definitely going to feel, oh, this is not for me. This is something which we can't do. Arey, how am I going to read all this? It's not. But once you start preparing for it in a methodical manner, then things start falling in place. Isn't it?
No, in fact, you know, I tell I mean, if you find somebody who tells you that I've made sense of it, they're definitely lying and they're probably not as good as you think they are. You know, because it's definitely overwhelming. And for the best of people, the best of people.
Yes, because it's scattered and all over the place.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so tell us some anecdotes in your posting in the last 6-7 months, which, you know, any one or two which
I'll tell you about. So there was this Pune International Film Festival last year. And you know, my office, I was just looking, and I'm a really art person, you know, I love music and I love dance and I love I know that, you know, one of the problems with this world is that we don't incorporate technology with humanities. I always say this, you know, doctors should be taught art and doctors should be taught all these things. Every profession, in fact, should have some component of humanities. And my optional was psychology, and I've read humanities, and you know, I know as a person I've changed once you go through this whole process and you read all these things. So I just saw this Pune International Film Festival and I was like, should we or should we not? Because it was like, you know, all filmmakers are invited and they just said that, you know, this year's theme was tribal culture. So they gave like 5 sub-themes and they said that, you know, it just seemed so impossible. And I was just sitting in my office and I said, should we kind of, as a government office, should we take part in this? And then people were so clueless and they were like, picture, really? I'm documentary. And I said, but you know, we live in a tribal area and people don't know about our tribal people. So why do we always keep talking about the bad things, that, you know, there's malnutrition and there's all of that? Let's just like kind of show them the fun side of people. So there were these 2 sub-themes that we decided. One was modern practices of traditional tribes. And another one was medicinal practices. So we thought that, you know, and fortunately, like very, very fortunately, we found this Zilla Parishad one worker, health worker, who used to work on a very low level, but who had a hobby of making movies. So we thought, we didn't have a lot of money. So we said,
so you were not part of the movie club in Lavasna?
No.
So that would have helped.
I'm very fond of making movies, but I never invested a lot of effort into learning it. So I said that, you know, so he said, I can't write a script. He said, I can shoot, I have a camera and I can get you music and all that, but I can't tell you what to do. And he said, I am not in a tribal area. So I said, let me write the script. I said, I am a writer. So I started writing the script and I was just so bonkers. I felt like this is so stupid. And I was like, you know, if somebody hears this, they would be like, why are you as an IAS officer, you're making a documentary? So, but we just, you know, we had only 15 days to make 2 7-minute documentaries. And, but then I just called random Korku people and I want to understand your culture. And I said, tell me more about, your medicinal practices. Tell me, what do you do? And, Korku people, all tribal areas actually have a great sex ratio.
Okay.
So there, actually, it might be more than 1,000 in some pockets.
Right.
So, and they love, in hospitals, if you come, people are like, humko ladki chahiye.
Right.
And they're like, too much boys, you want girls. So that's how they are. And I thought that, this is something that we need to project. They're so modern in their thinking. So we made this documentary called Rani Beti. Okay. And it was so amazing because we used our Ashram Shara children, our tribal schools. And then one of my tribal schools teachers sang for the first time. We got him to a recording studio and we said, Baba, we can't pay anybody, okay? We don't have money.
Okay.
So the person who used to clean in my house, he went for acting. One of our translators who was doing the Forest Rights Wala project, we said, okay, you go and do the acting. So it was a really community project and a lot of people came together and all that. And, both of our movies got selected for screening.
Oh, wonderful.
And all these people who kind of performed, and I called my secretary and I said that, see, this is what we've done. And I said, I would like to take these people to Pune because the screening was happening in Pune. And these people had never stepped foot outside of Dharni. Okay. So they were so scared. They're like, hum nahi baithenge bus mein. We'll not sit in the bus. We've never gone there. And I said, you don't have to pay anything. My secretary said that, you've done such a wonderful year. Let them come. And we took them to screening. And I had this Thai sitting right next to me. And, she was there on the screen and people were looking at her and they were clapping. And she was like so fascinated. Okay. And Rani Beti actually won the third prize. We got 50,000 back. I mean, whatever we invested in it.
Wonderful.
And that was beautiful. I mean, it made me realize that you don't really need a lot of money and a lot of fear. You just need to come together and
absolutely.
The kind of memories we built. In fact, a lot of tribal areas have these bhumkas, these babas who they say do magic and all of that and they treat. And it's generally said to be a really bad practice.
Right.
So I remember that for this movie, we were shooting a baba. Because we wanted to kind of show how wrong is this and all that. And one morning I said that I want to see it for myself. I said, let me just see what is it. And then I went there and I went to this house where a small girl who had scoliosis, she had this back fracture. And she said she had gone to the hospital 4 months in Madhya Pradesh. And she said nothing worked. And then she said, I couldn't walk. And then she said, all this Baba does is just do a massage with desi ghee and he had this water. It's so extremely unlikely that, I would fall for something like that. But then I have seen things like that. And she actually got up in front of me and she said, I've started walking with a stick now. And I realized that, maybe for orthopedics, this works. And somebody massaging you and knowing that, which is the area. And she cannot go to a doctor every day, but the Baba is available right here.
Right.
So it kind of really challenged me intellectually and challenged me to look at things in a different manner. So there are a lot of experience. I feel really fortunate that, we have our lives where we get to see these experiences and be a part of these stories.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So does majority of your time get spent in the project office more than the subdivisions office, or how does it work?
Now it's a little, because our schools are closed.
Right.
So we have around 47 schools as a project office under me, 18 hostels, but all of them are as of now closed. So we're focusing a little bit on revenue cases and and now it's COVID management, and most of our time actually goes there.
So how has been this experience? It's a once in a you don't even have any seniors to ask what did you do.
None at all.
If there was an election, if there was a flood, if there was a natural disaster, you can at least ask what did you do. But it is new for everyone. Every living person on the earth.
That is so true, and that is so true. In fact, even otherwise, literally also the nearest senior I have is 4 hours away. Right. Because I'm really in this subdivision. And for COVID, what you said is so true. So nobody knows. It's been a real challenge actually implementing it very strictly, because the moment you turn into a strict administrator, it's so difficult for people like me, honestly, because I believe in kind of talking to everybody and then listening to everybody and then working with people rather than ordering everybody ki aise karna hai. But then with COVID, there were times where I actually became very authoritarian and I said ki no, this will not happen, especially because I was a doctor. And I understood how infectious diseases work and how a little bit of oversight can lead to a disaster. So there were times when we had to completely pack the border and then completely just say no to kind of shops being open and then say that, no, business doesn't come first, this comes first. And that does not make you very appreciated and all that, but people do appreciate it in hindsight. Right. I mean, now we only have kind of 8-9 cases. We just don't have anything else. And touch wood, I mean, hopefully that remains the case. But it's a constant monitoring thing. You can't let one day slide by where you say that, we are not monitoring the smallest of complaints that we get. We have to follow up and we have to ensure that there is basic hygiene, there's basic social distancing, and it's really difficult. And especially in rural areas, we don't have health facilities. We cannot handle something like this. So, yeah, it's difficult.
Absolutely. As closing remarks, if there are few things that you would want to tell the aspirants who are watching the show, what would those be?
So the first thing that I want to say is don't be anxious because there's COVID. I mean, I see a lot of people, and I think it's normal. I mean, if you don't know what is going to happen, the uncertainty of anything can cause a lot of anxiety. And it's very difficult to kind of, get up in the morning, not know when the exam is going to be, how the exam is going to be. And then there must be people who are really, really prepared for it and who want to kind of go write the exam now, but it's just not happening. And I mean, I completely understand what you're going through, but please know that everybody is feeling the same way. In fact, I think, you have to understand that the competition kind of grows because now everybody is just sitting at home studying. So if you can kind of invest your time, and I always say that, I was really anxious when I gave my mains. I tell people consciously that I had I was under depression for a while because I want to tell people how normal it is and how I kind of overcame the entire process. So it really helps to kind of read something that's other than UPSC. I mean, I had this 56-page small book that I used to read before I started studying. So, every time your mind wanders or you're too anxious, try to kind of watch a movie which kind of is not really fun, but it gives you another perspective about something which you can use in UPSC.
Absolutely. So that is for the people who are appearing this year, but generally for the aspirants, the preparation journey and for the aspirants per se, based on your experience.
I think, it's UPSC is such a fun process, and a lot of people think it's cliche to say something like that from somebody who's already cleared the exam. But, I did not clear for 2 years. But I don't remember being I always tell people that, you are larger than, and, COVID time is exactly when you should be remembering that, the world can throw you a challenge at any point of time, and so many people in different forms help. I mean, and who knows what you might do in life which would end up, making you a hero. So many of you are already heroes. So just remember that, this is a process that you have to enjoy. The joy of it should not kind of overshadow. You shouldn't remember it back as a time where you were really stressed and anxious. Just be happy. I mean, and prepare happily. And remember that, happiness is it's not that you clear UPSC and you're going to be happy. It's just if you have it in yourself and you're doing it while you're doing it, you're actually going to make a really good officer later also. And that's the intention, right? Nobody wants to be a bad officer.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would like to say. And for the women, I think as a woman, I don't want to be feminist or sexist, but I will tell you that as a lady officer, a lot of times when I enter a meeting full of men, which is generally the case, I mean, 3 days back, I had a meeting. There were 41 people in that room and only one of them was a woman. So, and we've normalized it, and that is wrong. This is not normal. So, so I want a lot of women and I want a lot of diverse people. I mean, LGBT women, be it whatever. And you know, let's just open up to diversity and be people who would really help after coming into UPSC, because the larger objective is kind of the world, changing the world. It's not just UPSC. UPSC is a narrower objective.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you, Mithali, once again.
Thank you so much
for your time. And it was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure the aspirants would have taken, would have taken good stories out of this. And,
I hope so.
Hopefully it motivates them that, they should also land up in Lavasana and enjoy all that you said.
Yes, my best wishes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.